Greetings, Rob McCrae here again, erstwhile known as Clan McCrae 9, and in this video we're going to take a closer look at the Vassal module for Circus Maximus, and in specific we're going to look at how to generate a Chariot team for a race that you may be participating in. So the first thing I want to remind you is that when you log on you're going to be choosing a faction color. And the faction colors, the basic colors, are blue, green, red, gold, tan, black, purple, and white. But each one of those factions has two Chariot team colors to choose from. So for instance, if you're going to be the blue faction, you're going to have dark blue and light blue. So I'm going to choose the white team here, which means I have the white and the off-white to choose from. So I'm going to open up the white Chariot race log, and that's going to be the team that I'm going to build here. So this demonstration will work just as well if you've played Circus Maximus or not, because it's really not specifically on how to play the game, more how to use the module to play the game. But obviously there will be some learning here for how to get into playing Circus Maximus at a basic level. So if you played the old module, you know that you had these text labels that you brought in and you filled everything in. So the text labels are still there if you want to pull them down from the pieces menu, but you shouldn't really have to. But they are there if for some reason you felt like you needed some extra text on here that wasn't available. So to start with, when you're building a Chariot team, you have these specifications here. So I'm going to skip the top line for just a second. We're going to come back to it, but I'm going to show you what your goal is that you're trying to do. You have these four categories here for driver, car, team speed, and endurance. So the driver modification is how good your driver is. The car is whether or not your car is light, and I'll go ahead and flip through these. You see light, normal, or heavy. And obviously a light car is going to go faster usually, and a heavy car is going to go slower but be more durable, whereas a light car would possibly be destroyed easier if there's any type of contact with another car. So these are the types of things that you're going to be balancing and measuring against each other. The team speed obviously is, how much, how good your horses are, and your endurance is how much battering you could take on the endurance chart. So obviously, if you started with an endurance of 74, you would have a lot of endurance that you could burn up during the game, which would allow you to do some things that if you, as opposed to say if you started out with an endurance of 25, you'd be very close to be running out of your endurance right from the beginning of the race. And sometimes that happens. There are random rolls that are rolled against charts within Circus Maximus that determine, once you determine your basic parameters, then you do the random rolls against the charts to figure out your specific numbers. So let's show you how that works. I'm going to make this guy fairly easy, and I'm going to use all the categories. So when I say I'm going to use all the categories, I don't have to use any of these specifically. What I have to do is I have to come up with a total of 4 prep points. So let's look at the driver, and by right-clicking, it's going to pull up these predetermined options for you. So the only things you can put in here is what's allowed. So that's one thing that can help you as a new player. Instead of trying to figure out, what your limits are and what type of information you put in here, it's going to be automatically set up for you. And just logically, 0 modifier is the worst level, and 2 is the best. So I'm going to go with the middle one. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I'm going to put 1s all the way across here just for this example. Just as long as I don't exceed 4, I'm good. So my driver modification would be 1. I'm going to mirror that here. It may seem a little illogical to you that you would have to put it in there twice, but you'll kind of see why when we go through the other categories. So my driver modification is 1. You notice when I updated this 1, it updated this box here, which is just a bigger visual from the original chart that they put in here, so you always know what your driver modification was. Now let's look at the type of car that we want. So the options here are a little bit different. So light, normal, and heavy. But in terms of the numbers, light equals 0, normal equals 1, and heavy equals 2. So again, I'm going to go with the normal of 1 here. So I still have 2 points left. I want to go ahead and explain that. Let's say that I decided to make that a 2, then I would only have 1 point left because I can't exceed 4. So then that would have been 3 points. But for my example, I want to use all the categories so you get to see how everything works here. Team speed. Again, slow is 0, normal is 1, and fast is 2. So I'm going to select normal here and go ahead and put my number to a 1. And then endurance, I could go with low, normal, or high. And I'm going to go with normal, which is a 1. Okay. And again, just want to explain it. I could have mixed it up. I could have gone with a 2 here, a 0 here, a 2 here, and a 0 here, or any combination. 2, 2, 0, 0, 2, 0, 0, 2, 1, 1, 0, 2. So you get it. You can put whatever you want there as long as your total doesn't exceed 4. I could have put a sum box up there, but I didn't think that was really necessary. It just would have been an extra place taker on the chart. But as long as you see that, then you're good to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and this is a little bit different from the Circus Maximus original rules. I put in a faction name here. The faction names in the board game are the colors, so but I thought it'd be a little bit more fun to allow you to be able to set your faction names. So let's call this guys El Blancos Wheelies. Not the best of names, but works in a pinch. And we already know that our color is white, but we're going to type it in here. And then the driver's name, let's go with Circus Maximus. Again, one of the more fun aspects of this game is coming up with the driver names. A lot of Monty Python going on there. Okay, so we have the top part of our chart filled in. To figure out how to fill in the rest of the chart, I can go ahead and change this to 1, which is fine because that's what that's going to be to start out with. Your current driver modifier is going to always start out being the modifier that you chose up here. And notice that added to my team speed. So I have a team speed of 1 right now because I have a current driver modifier of 1. But now let's look at filling in these other parts of the chart that are a little bit more complex. Actually, I'll go ahead and adjust my car type there. That doesn't really change anything. It does get registered up here in the text, so everything that you do is going to be historically recorded. So let's go up here to the generation menu items, and I'm going to click on the driver hits, which is this category. So we're using a driver of 1. Again, if it was a 0, I would go with driver 0. If that was a 2, I would go with driver 2. Because it's a 1, I'm going to go with driver 1. I clicked on it, and it tells me the Clan McRae 9 has created a driver using a modifier of +1 that starts with 7 hit points available. So that tells me what my starting hit points available are. So this guy's already got a number of hits against him just starting out in the race. That really just kind of represents his current strength value coming into the race. So it doesn't mean that he's actually beat up, although it could mean that he's beat up, but it's kind of related to endurance, even though it's a different category. Okay, so next we're going to look at the team speed. So team speed, we chose 1 again. So I'm going to use the team speed of 1 button, and it's going to tell me that Clan McRae 9 has created a team of horses using a modifier of +1 that starts with speeds of 6, 3, 3, 5. Hit points available for horses 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 6, 3, 3, and 5. That's not a bad roll, actually. So I'm going to adjust this up to 6. That one to 3. That one to 3. Oh, one too many. There we go. Back to 3. And then 6, 3, 3, 5. Okay, so now we see we have our whole team speed built up here. We don't have any endurance penalties yet because we haven't run out of endurance yet. So for most of the race, this is what you're going to be calculating. So we have a team speed of 17, or a horse speed of 17, plus our current driver modifier of 1 for a total of 18. You can see here that if something happened to modify your driver modifier, sometimes that can happen when you have altercations during the race. If that goes down to negative, as you see, it's going to affect your team speed. But we're going to leave that for 1 right now. And we're going to move on to the next item, which is the endurance generator. I'm going to click on that. And again, because we are 1, I'm going to select the endurance of 1. And this tells me that Clan McRae 9 has created a team using a modifier of +1 that starts 46 with 46 endurance points remaining. Okay, so I'm going to click on the endurance box, and as I pointed out in the introduction, I could right click, but I'm going to have to individually click each time to do that. So instead I'm going to highlight it by clicking in the box. You'll see the border will highlight, and then I'm going to hit the right button, the right arrow button on the keyboard, and I can go as fast as I want to. I think my number was 46. There we go. And so I'll leave 46 as the first blank space. Now, some of the players like to record where their endurance hits were during the game. That's fine. I'm not too particularly hip on that, but if you want to mark that, you can. So you could put a circle around there each time you adjust your endurance. The reason why I say it's not necessary now is because your history is going to be recorded into the text now, so you'll always be able to figure out what your endurance was before you started your turn. Okay, and that's your basic setup for where your team's going to be. The other fun aspect is you can name your horses now. So let's get our horses named here. Okay. And you'll see that when you make adjustments now to your horse speed, it's going to tell you that Scipio Maximus has decreased Larry's speed to 5. Let's bring it back up to the 6. And so again, as I mentioned, that's going to be pretty much where you start out with your team when the race starts. So the Vassal module helps with the generation of the Chariot teams quite a bit, I think. A couple of other things on here. So your left wheel and right wheel will always start out in good shape. Presumably, they're saying you would never start a Chariot race with bad wheels, which makes sense. But it works the same way as the other ones. You use the left button and you would adjust the X's as you received hits on your wheels until your Chariot broke apart. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but it will. And if you lose your whip on the way, you'll see that you can put an X in there, and it'll tell you that Scipio Maximus whip has been restored or lost as appropriate. Okay. And I think that's going to cover it for character generation. So there will be at least one more video, maybe 2 more, that's going to be covering the campaign aspect. So again, if you have any questions, you can email me at clanmcrae9vassal@yahoo.com. So until next time, thank you.